What's up, everybody?
Yo,
How we doing, Joe?
I'm doing good. Hey, I forgot I've had this for a while.
Oh, what is that?
It's the fantasy football championship belt.
Oh, nice.
So the champ is here.
Oh, there he is. Wait, John Cena's coming? There he is.
I got my hat on. This is a wristband.
I got my Stone Cold Steve Austin 316 shirt purchased at the Des Moines SmackDown. Man, we've been quite busy these last 2 weeks, haven't we?
Oh
The
yeah,
last month and a half, 6 weeks with professional wrestling. How cool is that?
very cool. Yeah. Well, I think we had a let's see, we went me and you back to back nights UFC or SmackDown then UFC.
Right.
Des Moines.
Right. Yeah, it was a badass weekend in Des Moines for combat sports in Des Moines, Iowa, dude. That TKO group has got something cooking right now with that back-to-back WWE SmackDown, followed up with a UFC fight night. If they're gonna do like a pay-per-view card, and a little birdie that I that I that I hear tweeting in my head, uh, Des Moines getting pushed for a pay-per-view for UFC.
For UFC.
For UFC.
I would say, I mean, me and you both kind of agreed with UFC. Thankful for the ticket and everything. I thought the energy was 100% there.
Yeah.
Right. The UFC energy was there, but for us in the matches,
Yeah, we had to take a walk around walk around the concourse for a little
got
bit
to
there,
get loose a little bit.
dude. I mean, those old bones were just getting creaky right there. When the main card started, it was like there was no finishes. It was getting boring, and that's
Yeah.
what UFC is, though. I mean, UFC's excitement. It's 15 minutes. If it's a 3-round fight, it's 15 minutes of nonstop action. Yes, but if it's heavy on the wrestling, heavily on the grappling, versus WWE, where obviously it's wrestling, professional wrestling, it's nonstop entertainment, nonstop entertainment.
Yeah. I mean,
And,
good. It was good for the city to have it. Good weekend for the city, obviously.
right.
If I would have to rate everything, out of 10, WWE, I was really let down on SmackDown saying, Randy Orton didn't wrestle. I wasn't a fan of that.
Right.
There was no dark match. That was really a big bummer. And for a guy that had front row seats and all that, you would expect that because you wanted that dark match. You wanted the fan interaction afterwards, kind of like a thank you.
Yeah.
Uh, so that was
We're,
that was a downfall. I give it like a 7, but then UFC outside of like hanging out with you and Beebs, obviously having a good time with our family and then Deaton there and everything, like a
yeah.
5.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it was an experience because, the last UFC I went to was like 189, I think. UFC 189 in Las Vegas. And that's electric, dude. That is, even if you're not getting finishes,
I
you're
believe it.
partying. It's Las Vegas. Conor McGregor was the main event. Conor McGregor and Chad Mendez, and then the following night on Sunday was the Ultimate Fighter, and this fighter on the prelims of the Ultimate Fighter, a guy named Khabib Nurmagomedov was on there. I looked at my buddy and I go, "This is boring." I'm like, "I'm out of here." Because
Yeah,
you're in Las Vegas. It's Sunday. It's your last day. You're like, I don't want to see people hump.
right.
Come to find out, he becomes one of the greatest ever. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, you never
but
know. We could
no,
have seen someone that's going to be the best. We don't know.
well, we were supposed to see someone who was supposed to be the best, right? And Bo
Right.
Nickel, and Bo
Yeah.
Nickel got shown the fuck up.
Yeah. I think he was a little. To me, he looked like he was a little smaller than.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. I think it was DeRitter, and I think DeRitter showed up at I don't know. It's God, I believe they fight at middleweight, and DeRitter showed up at like 230 easily. But Bo Nickel looked gassed too. For a guy
Yeah,
that's
I think
got this championship pedigree in wrestling from Penn State, the guy that looked like he couldn't go 3 5-minute rounds, which is crazy because wrestling, you have to have a gas tank for that.
well, and everybody was talking about he had no knockout game, and he was doing it recently. He was trying to say, it's my time. I'll show you guys I can knock people out, and I think that's what gassed him. I think he's switching. He was switching what he's really good at.
Right.
So.
Right. You gotta rely on what got you there, especially
Yep.
in UFC. But no, it was an incredible weekend, just filled with just a ton of action things. Things that we're passionate about. That Friday night, man. even though, without the dark match, and the dark match for everybody at home is the match that's after the TV gets done. It's what sends the fans home happy. You're always supposed to get the baby faces go over the heels. You think you would get Cody Rhodes or Randy Orton or something like that, but the turnaround between WWE and then the next day UFC, that crew had to tear everything down. And as everybody knows, WWE is a huge production, so that crew was working 24/7 around the clock just to get that set torn down because the UFC is just something different. And
Mm-hmm.
so they had time limits to hit and everything like that. So, but
Sure.
but yeah, I mean WWE again. UFC was a little lackluster. Obviously, if it's knockout, 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 it's better, it's better, it's better. But WWE for me on Friday night last week was, yeah, dude, it was like, I don't know. I mean, you could clearly tell it's the B show now. And then to turn around and give Omaha like one of the best
Way better.
draws
Yeah.
of of
JT, go ahead.
the year.
All right, you're talking about the event center. I worked at the event center for over a decade, and the amount of work that goes into changeover, not only the WWE crew but everyone else, it
Right.
takes a village. Like to take like the amount of people. Like I used to do help with state wrestling. We'd have to take 8 mats and turn them into 3 mats, and we were in charge of taking every single thing with the cable timing. Like it's really like 8 hours of work you have to do in an hour. But everyone gets it done. Like, yeah, I don't know how they turned around that fast because I've seen that crew do it before. But props to them. It sucks you got to miss out on a dark match, but like literally every second counts on that. And
Mhm.
props to the event center and the people who work there, the W crew, the UFC crew, like the people behind the scenes, like the
Yeah,
amount
those
of
are the
work they
unsung
put in.
the unsung
Yeah, they had
heroes
Yeah.
2 big nights
of
for
live
the
events.
city, so like I totally
Yeah.
understand that.
Well,
And I'll tell
there
you,
was one time I got asked to work a house show for WWE, and Roman Reigns was the champ. I got to sit on the crew, like the camera crew, on their mic and just listen to how they talked and all that. Like it was hilarious. It's cool to see behind the scenes. Like legit, props to the people behind the scenes doing all the work. Just want to hop in and say hey. So
Heck
like
yeah,
that,
appreciate
yeah.
that.
I'll duck out again and disappear.
Well, that's a perfect segue into kind of my experience with the show that I had.
Yeah, you had a
Shout
great
out
one.
to Sean Roberts, KXNO, and Minute Maid and Atlantic Bottling for hooking up the tickets, and shout out Chris Conley for hooking up my son and my wife, with tickets up in the press box. But Sean calls me on Wednesday that week and goes, "Dude, I've got tickets behind it's backstage passes. It's from Minute Maid. Do you want to go?" And I'm like, "Dude, I just got the tickets from Chris," and Chris being such a good buddy of mine, he understood that, hey, I stuck Kelsey and Pierce up into I'm not gonna say nosebleeds. They were pretty happy with it because they got free food and free drink
Yeah,
upstairs. But no, Sean, he says, "I don't know where we're gonna sit, but all I know is that we're gonna have a backstage tour." And so for that opportunity, as a professional wrestling fan through thick and thin, man, ever since I've been a little kid, to get to see the nuts and bolts. I mean, we meet outside the arena, we go inside, we're by where the remember when they used to have seat fillers, Joe?
hmm
And so seat fillers for WWE. WWE is such a huge production on television, right? And they don't want an empty seat in the house. Obviously, with that depends on how well the card is. That depends on how well the storylines are going. But on they really care about what's behind that ring. So where you were sitting, front row hard cam is where was what they call it, hard cam.
hmm
They would have these seat fillers that would sit kind of like 15, 20 rows back behind the announcer table. And as soon as someone went up to go get something to drink or go to use the restroom, there's a guy from WWE telling you, "Hey, you need to go and take this seat. Go to section 103 and row B and sit in the seat," just to always make it look full. Which is kind of like, dude, it's awkward because I had to be a seat filler one time
hmm
just to go to the show. It's
Me
like
too.
2013. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was. I think
we
yeah,
were
it
all
was
sea
you.
fillers.
Yeah, it was you, me, Rimo. I
Tyler,
think yeah, it was a good time, but it's awkward, right? Because you're going to take
you're
someone
sitting next to
else's
these
seat.
people, and then the people come take your seat. They come to get their seat, and they're like, "Oh, you're in my seat."
You're like,
Yeah, we know.
"Oh, no, yeah, we're seat fillers," and then they're like, "Oh, cool, blah blah blah." Well, we get stationed out there, and then they take us through the tour. And so it was a young lady who had just started with WWE. She came from, I want to say she came from Universal. She'd been in the entertainment business, so she took us through there. And as soon as we hit, we went to wardrobe where they keep everything. Undertaker's suit is out there. Damian Priest's jacket's there. I mean, it's cool. You got to see kind of where everybody gets their haircut. Just little things, man. That to me as a fan, I was just enthralled. I forgot my son and wife were here with me on this
Yeah,
tour.
you're
You know, I left
appreciated.
him in I left him in the back. I was like, dude, I'm beelined it. So and actually, the guy that runs the wardrobe is Mercedes Monet's ex husband,
Yep.
Sasha Banks, formerly known as Sasha Banks. So we walked through there, and then the first wrestler we got to meet was Jacob Fatu, and I'm a big Jacob Fatu guy. Like that guy is the next big thing. We talk about like when Brock Lesnar came out, and Taz calling him the next big thing. This guy is just everything. Badass dude on TV, sweetheart of a man behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like the way he interacted with my son Pierce was just it was incredible. He's like, hey, no man, I got you. I got 7 kids myself. And I was like, all right, dude, all right. He let him hold the championship and everything like that. And then next person we meet, Tiffany Stratton.
There you go.
It's Tiffy time, and Tiffy time, it's always ringing a bell. I mean, it's crazy, dude.
Yeah,
But
she's
yeah, no, so it was cool. Then they took us through. Actually, when we got stopped right before we met Jacob Fatu because they were shooting the promo where LA Knight came through, where Jacob Fatu and Damian Priest were getting into it, and Solo Sikoa and everything like that. They were shooting that promo an hour before the show. So to
Mhm.
kind of see what they were doing with that was kind of cool. And then just see the magic because LA Knight comes through and goes, "I'm going to the ring," and then boom, you looked at me, you're like, "How the hell do they do that?"
Yeah.
I have no idea, but that's WWE for you, man. They make things happen out of thin air, which is crazy. But no, then after we met Tiffy and we got to go to where the TV setup for the title belts. So we got to actually hold Cody Rhodes World Championship, the one he got smacked in the head with.
That's sweet.
Dude, it was so fucking cool. And those title belts they're so heavy. They're 40 pounds.
Yeah.
And to watch back in the day to watch someone just whip them around like it was nothing, dude, I don't know how they did it, but it was
They're
just
way
cool to
different
have in
from
your
the
hand.
replicas you buy.
What's that?
They're way different from the replicas you'll be buying.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, it was just it was crazy, and she was kind of explaining why they have Velcro on it now because some of the talent was complaining that the buttons to snap them didn't really stay. They were having a hard time doing it, so now it's all Velcro. So every TV title is a Velcro title, and then they have one they travel with, um, which is cool. But then, as a wrestling savant, as a wrestling guy, again, who's loved this thing since he's been little, but then as you get kind of privy to the business, Gorilla. We got to go to Gorilla.
Boom.
Dude, man, that's like all you could ever ask for, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where Triple H sits. That's where Road Dogg sits. That's where Billy Kidman sits. That's where Lil Nate sits. All the refs and everything like that. And so Mike Rowe's back there, and we're getting the business. Billy Kidman's the timekeeper in terms of match making sure you hit your times.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were able to actually go out from Gorilla out to the crowd and almost do our own little entrance. So I went back there and I looked at Billy and I go, "Hey, did I make time?" And he goes, "You went over, kid." I'm like, "God damn." But just to have that interaction, man, it was so fucking cool. So fucking cool.
Oh yeah, man. I can just imagine how cool that was. You deserve it, that's for sure. You're just diehard as I am, so it was cool to see that. It was cool to see people come out and get booed and
Yeah,
stuff like that. That's why you guys came out with the kids.
yeah,
Because you
that's why I
knew if
came
you
up.
were to come out by yourself, you're getting a boo.
Well, they might have cheered because they've been like, "Well, Kevin Owens is back."
Yeah. Oh, there he is. Ta-da!
Oh shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was cool. We were able to get into the ring too as well, or just on the apron. And Sean and I got to sit behind the announcers booth where Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett sit. And their one biggest rule by sitting there was don't touch the headsets. I don't know why. I'm gonna say germs, but
Yeah.
because it's hot down there, dude, with all those lights and all that electricity, It is fucking hot.
Yeah. Plus you were like super excited too. So I mean that plays into it.
Yeah,
You're just like jacked up and shit like that. You were wearing a long sleeve.
yeah. It was a mistake. But
Should
I looked jacked in that long sleeve. So I was
have
like,
wore
hey,
a wrestling shirt. Should have had a wrestling shirt.
I don't want to mark out too bad.
Could have had the Chair Shots Chokehold shirt on.
Yeah, I would. It's slowly turning into a cutoff though.
Yeah, it's gonna be the cutoff shirt now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll get into that later. But no. What about you? What'd you think? You always get front row. And I'm glad to see that you get to move from the Vets Auditorium side stage with Jeff Edler, wink wink, to
Yeah.
being on hard cam
Touch the
now,
table.
dude. Yeah,
Yeah, man, and we had a good time. The boys had a good time. B Dizzle had a good time. The
Dizzle's
cool
had a
thing
great
about
time.
it is when Priest ripped his shirt off and threw it in the air, I was the one that caught it. So I
Nice.
guess that was pretty cool. So remember, they make stuff out of that, the sports cards and everything. That's like, I got the whole shirt. So it's all ripped up and everything. So I'm going to do something cool with that and probably put like on a mannequin. Cause I got Tazawa's too one year. He like threw it. He went to go throw it to us and he kind of like short armed it and it landed. And their new head of security who was there this time. That's funny. You said Road Dog because I was like, hey man, can I get that? And he was kind of rude to me. He's like, no. And he went walking over. Then all of a sudden he came back and handed it to me. And Road Dog sent me a text. He's like, I got you. So
No kidding.
He's watching you, right? He's like sitting there watching us. And he's just like, I got you, bro. I was like, dude, that's what's up. So, he's like, I seen you and your boy there. So then we got Tazawa's with him and Gable, whatever Alpha Academy shirt, the pink ones that they wear. That was kind of cool. So to have two pieces like that was pretty cool. I think another thing was cool is like you could tell we're in their commercials. So like Tiffy was laying down and she like fell right in front of me. And I was like leaning over talking to her and she's hurting her shoulder. And I was like, you want me to rub that for you? She's like, maybe, she's like, yeah, I can help you out here. I mean, we're not on live TV. I'm not going to get in too much trouble. Right. And then Naya's laying down there and she was super nice. Like she's heel. So she's laying down and I'm talking to her and I'm like, get up and kick their ass, and she's like, I can beat all of them. You know that. And I'm like, oh, I know. And she's like, I'm going to get that strap back. And I'm like, oh yeah, you will. But so having that interaction, just chit chatting with the wrestlers is pretty cool. That's what makes the house show environment's real fun because it's all night like that.
Right. They're just as big as fans as we are. They're the ones that kind of made it. But when Chelsea Green threw her sunglasses, dude, I thought she threw a pen. It came and hit the kid right in front of me, and he caught the glasses. And he's like, "What do I do?" And I'm like, "Just you keep them." But then when she was walking back after the match, she was coming up and giving this kid the business. Who stole my glasses? Who stole them? You could keep them. And he was probably like 7 years old. That kid's gonna remember that forever.
Yeah.
She just made a.
All right. Whoa, shoot, that's the wrong one. Let's go back to that one. There we go. All right. No, I was gonna say I used to know a guy who knew a guy that would give me front row seats to the WWE. I remember one time was he's actually, I want to say it's the night that Sting debuted. Yeah, it was the night that Sting debuted, which was bucket list amazing. But there was a tag match. Maybe it was a different show. It was Roman Reigns and it was John Cena. And we all had anti-Cena shirts. He walked up like, those shirts are awesome. I got to the commercial break and we were riding Roman Reigns because he had a program against Brock Lesnar at the time. We're like, Brock's gonna kill you. He's like, he might. During the commercial break, both him and Cena came up and I was like, guys, this is awesome. Keep doing this. But like having two of the best in the business, like we're just busting their balls, like just being fans. Alcohol may have been involved at that point. But like, yeah, the fact they're just like, dudes, like this is awesome. Like, yeah, I had to sign Cena poster, which I unfortunately lost, but I had a sign that said this poster tore Kevin Nash's quad. He's like, that's awesome. So, but yeah, no, like if you can ever get front row seats, it's amazing. And like just hearing like the little things, like even an indie show. Like I saw a wrestling match at the Whole Avenue Tavern before it got shut down. It wasn't a wrestling match, it was a fight, but whatever. But like just if you can get the wrestling show, just get front row seats, hear how the guys are talking to each other, communication. Like I geek out on that like crazy. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to share. So once again, I'm gonna tag out and sit in the corner.
Absolutely,
and drink
man.
water.
I love it. I was actually there at that show with the
okay.
Because the night before I was at the airport and one of the drivers was holding the Steve Borden sign. So I told everybody that was waiting for autographs. I said, dude, Sting's coming off the plane. They're like, no, he's not. I'm like, trust me. I said, stand in line. So we all stand in line, and I'm like first or second in line. Sting comes down. He's like, oh, what's going on here? And he goes, this is really respectful. Usually I get bombarded or something. I said, no, we all want to meet you. If you have time, cool. He goes, this is amazing. Thank you for doing this. So he signed every one of our stuff. I have a WrestleMania thing like this with him on it, signed. And then he got done. He's like, I'll take a picture with everybody. And then the last time I just met him in Scored Circle 2 years ago, he don't come to Des Moines much. So I was like, do you remember coming down to Des Moines last time? He goes, I do, because when in the airport, he remembered it right away. He's like, you guys stood in the line. I was like, yeah, that was me that like started that thing. He's like, no kidding. He's like, that's awesome. I'm like, yeah. So yeah, I was there because they hit him under the ring and he came out. Remember?
Yeah, it was the night before. It was the Raw before WrestleMania 31. I think it was.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to have a go home show in Des Moines, Iowa, when you've got to go to Santa Clara, as your go home show. It's like, well, someone fucked up on the scheduling there.
Yeah, something, I don't know.
But
I was just glad he was there. I was shocked. I was just like, no freaking way, man. He's freaking here.
That's the icon, man. That's the icon Sting.
Yeah. JT too. Let us know if Ken logs in. Just type us in, because we haven't even talked about that yet, and we have a big guest here tonight coming on in about 5 or 6 minutes after we do our ads.
Mr. Kennedy, great fucking dude, man. Great guy. I'm very curious to see what he's got to say, man. I mean, again, him and his wife Anastasia were just great people when we met him in Indianapolis, and I'm just so jacked, so stoked that we're able to continue to bring out this quality content to people, man.
Yeah,
because it could be just two dudes talking wrestling, and that's all fun and well.
Yeah, and this guy just get on running a 2-hour class, at his academy, so he's taking his time at 10 o'clock at night to come talk to us. That's pretty damn cool, I would say.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to walk. I'm gonna have to drive up there and maybe take a class, take a few bumps, bring it back.
Take some bumps right in the city. They're right down there too. It's like he says he's like, what was he saying?
He's like 2 blocks away from the Target Center.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, Target Center. That's what he said.
Yeah, because I always stay when I go there for work.
They're like in a studio or something, I think.
Yeah, which is, I mean, it's great. He's a Green Bay guy living in Minnesota, though. That's I don't know how he deals with that.
That's probably got to be pretty hard for him, for how diehard he is as a Packer fan.
Oh fuck yeah, man! I mean, that's what he loves to do, dude. He loves to go and train. He's got a great class up there, and I can't wait to talk to him about all of that stuff. So he'll be on with us at 10 o'clock tonight. So stay put, everybody that's in bed right now. Don't go roll over on the misses quite
yet. Should real quick before we should talk about the distilling Iowa distilling thing.
Yeah. So I know, Joe, you told me to get it, but I'm live from the deck tonight.
6:30.
Because I've got my phone with me, but 6:30 at Iowa Distilling. Willie and Billy and Willie's doing a live podcast out there, and it's going to benefit the ARL. So it's next Tuesday, 6:30. Everybody's welcome to come. I think I'm going to venture out there myself, and maybe Joe. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to try to. If I get guys to run the practice, I'll be there for sure. Just to show some support. All the money from your guys' drinks and everything will go help out the ARL, which if you guys don't know a lot about that, it's pretty cool that we're doing this as a Three Beards media production. Those animals and everything, these people work hard to, they probably goes a lot of different things, feeding them. There's the main thing, right? So they don't just get enough donations for all that stuff. So anybody that wants to show up, I'll drink, I can slam some NAs, and that's $1 towards, the ARL. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
No, not at all, man. I used to volunteer at the ARL and want to see what those people do. The reason why I don't volunteer anymore is because I have a house full of cats.
There you go. Yeah, we got cats, dogs, a lizard here, kids.
Yeah, the good-hearted people that do that, man. It's incredible to see their passion. We're passionate about professional wrestling and combat sports in general, but what really matters is those people that are passionate about the cats and dogs, the animals out there that don't have homes. And so come support them. Iowa Distilling next Tuesday, 6:30. Billy and Willie are going to be doing their live podcast from there. So maybe we'll be able to jump on. Willie and Billy are family friends, right? You would say?
Yeah, absolutely. We're all family here. Looks like he's here. Let's do our commercial break real quick. Jake, go find that cricket too.
You can hear it.
Jim, is that
At Birkwood Farms, excellence isn't just a goal, it's a way of life. For generations, our family farmers have dedicated themselves to raising the finest heirloom Berkshire pork, never sacrificing quality, never cutting corners. Our farmers aren't just caretakers, they're stewards of a tradition, passing down their commitment to responsible and humane animal husbandry from generation to generation. That dedication makes all the difference. It's why top chefs and grocery stores across the nation trust Birkwood Farms for pork that's rich in flavor, tender, and always of the highest quality. From our farms to your table, we take pride in every bite, because when you choose Birkwood Farms, you're not just choosing premium pork, you're supporting independent farmers who pour their hearts into every cut. Birkwood Farms, farmer-owned, quality guaranteed, taste unmatched. Thank you for choosing Birkwood Farms, where excellence is a tradition.
You need to watch this if you struggle with finding rare sports collectibles. Hat Trick Breaks has got you covered. Whether you're a die-hard sports fan or a dedicated collector, Hat Trick Breaks is your ultimate destination. Dive into the excitement of live card breaks, where every rip of the pack could reveal a gem. Meet your sports heroes at our exclusive autograph signings and take home a piece of the action. Our community is all about passion, connection, and unforgettable experiences. Join us on Facebook, and let's turn your sports dreams into reality. Hat Trick Breaks, where every break is a win.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa born, Iowa aged, Iowa bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com. In 2023, a crack Green Beret named Dan Douglas retired his military command and promptly escaped to a full-time career in real estate. Today, this man is wanted by home buyers and sellers who want to survive the process without spending a fortune. If you have a home to sell or want to buy one, maybe you can hire Dan Douglas at Green Beret Realty. You can find him at greenberetrealty.com. greenberetrealty.com.
there he is.
The man himself.
I'd hire that guy just because of the commercial.
What's up, buddy?
How you doing, man?
We're doing good, man. I know you've had a long night, long day, probably, I'm sure. Everything going
All
good?
good. At the end of the day, not a bad gig, you know?
Yeah, right.
You're
Well, hey,
bringing
man,
in
we
the
want
next
to thank
crop.
you for coming on, for sure. Jake's hanging out on his deck back there, probably sipping on some tequila, talking good things about you and Anastasia, the good time we had at Squirt Circle Expo for a couple days. But first of all, I want to thank you for everything. First of all, you do in the business. There's a ton of things we could say about you. So it's really an honor to have you on here with us.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on. It's good to talk to you guys again.
Absolutely,
it's
man.
It's good to see you, man. Thank you for everything you've done for the business, and thank you for the great time you showed us in Indianapolis, man. So cheers to you. We got a protein
Hey, cheers,
shake
man.
today.
That was really a ton of fun. Good weekend.
And more fun to come, man. I'll tell you that much. You know, you linking up with Joe and all that stuff, and being I'm going to say local because we could get to you in 4 hours. You know, I was just telling the
Yep.
guys earlier. I think I'm going to run up there next time I have a sales call in Minnesota. I'm going to come and go take a bump in the ring real fast for old time's sakes.
Come on up. Got
Yeah,
you.
flat back, everything. I just want to run the ropes one more time. That's all I want.
There you go.
That's all I want to do. But yeah, man. Thank you for joining us. And we're kind of just fly by the seat of our pants here. You know, we kind of let the conversation flow. But for the sake of starting the conversation, what got you here? What got you into professional wrestling?
What got me into the business?
Yeah.
It was like sort of a circuitous path that I took. I never in a million years as a little kid, thought I'm going to be a pro wrestler one day. I was, when I graduated high school, I was 165 pounds, 6'1". I never watched wrestling as a kid, or I briefly did, but never really got into it. None of my friends were into it. I thought it was stupid. And one of my buddies, whom I started like working out with, was a huge wrestling fan, and he would always wear wrestling shirts and talk about this and that going on. And I would kind of give him a hard time about it, And so one night we were just hanging out, and he said, "Dude, we're watching wrestling tonight. That's it. That's all there is to it. Just trust me." And I remember him saying, I heard some glass break at one point, and he was like, "Here it is. Here he's coming." And Steve Austin drove to the ring in a pickup truck, and he had like a 6-pack of beer on his lap and yelling at everybody, flipping birds, and just the way that he carried himself. Because I always thought wrestling was kind of hokey and corny, and I didn't like that campy nature that it sometimes can have. This was nothing like that. It was super serious, and I believed this guy. And so I started watching. I took a liking to him right away. And then, next week my roommates were watching, and I was like, I want to see what that Steve Austin guy does. So then I'd watch, and then the next week I'd watch it again. And slowly but surely I got hooked into Kane and The Undertaker and DX and Nation of Domination and all these other really, everything at the time too was a big deal. It later on, and even when I was there, there's sometimes where when you're watching, like who's going to win or who's going to lose. Oh, okay, this is a throwaway match. I didn't feel that way at the time. It was like every segment, every star was indeed a star. So I just started watching, and became a huge fan. Then fast forward to, I was working at a nuclear power plant as a security guard, an armed security guard. And so we would sit in these little boxes all night long, 12 hours a night. And we would call each other and talk about wrestling. And everywhere I went, everybody was talking about wrestling. It was all over, Stone Cold was doing the Got Milk ads, and
TV guides.
It was just everywhere. And I was at a party one night, and some guy was like, "Hey, you can like go to school and learn how to be a wrestler." I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "I know a guy, or I know this lady at work, and her son is a professional wrestler. Like, he teaches people how to do it." Like, come on. I never in a million years, it had never even like occurred to me, how does somebody get into that line of work? And then I went home that night, and I started searching on the internet, and I don't remember what it was. I think it was like Ask Jeeves at the time. There was no Google. And I looked up pro wrestling schools, and I found a wrestling school that was outside on the outskirts of Chicago. All right away left a message, like probably 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And the next day or day after that, I got a phone call from a guy out of Green Bay saying, "Hey man, I got your number from the NAWF. I'm starting a wrestling school, and interested, I want to know if you'd be interested, and I'm going to give you a tryout." And so I set up a tryout. Sorry, this is a really long-winded story, but it's kind of
you're good.
This is great. This is great information.
And so I remember it was $125 for a tryout. And it was just, I went up to Green Bay, met him. I remember walking into this place and just seeing this 16-foot by 16-foot ring, low rider, low to the ground. The ropes were kind of saggy. There were rips and tears and, marks all over the canvas. And I just remember, like, I can't believe I'm this close to a pro wrestling ring.
Yeah.
And I got in. He introduced me to running the ropes and taking my first bumps. And I was like, and he asked me, they took me out to lunch afterwards. I'm like, "Is there something you'd like to do?" And I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, let's go." So I became the guy's first student.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
hook, line, and sinker, right? When you step foot in that ring and you get to touch the ropes and just get to experience what your favorite athletes get to do, right?
I still see it to this day when people come into the academy and they look at that thing. They get up close. They always want to touch it.
Mhm.
Everybody, when they finally get to step foot inside of it, it's like always sort of the same reaction. This is really cool.
So how long was it till you made it to WWE?
It was about five years after that.
5
So
years.
it was a sort of a long road. I trained for 9 months. I believe it was every Sunday. It might have even been every other Sunday. We would train for like 3.5, 4 hours at a time. And then I trained with him for 9 months, had my first match in front of a live crowd. And then I just started traveling, doing independent, trying to be a sponge as much as I could, learn from other people. I started sending tapes to WWE almost immediately. I remember asking people, like, "Do you think I should send a tape?" No, definitely not yet. You're way too green. And I just thought, like, no, man, because I always thought, like, if I do send a tape and it sucks, they'll tell me what sucks about it, and then I'll be able to fix that. And then the next time you see a tape from me, it'll look better. I just remember. So I sent my first tape, and Kevin Kelly called me. Very first time I ever sent the tape to WWE. Kevin Kelly called me and said, "Hey, I liked your work, and I'm interested in bringing you in as an extra." It was a Raw. Raw and SmackDown were in Chicago and Milwaukee, and so I went. Didn't I don't believe I got in the ring, but actually I take that back. Back in those days, they would allow the extras to like suit up. So during the day, you'd go eat catering when you first got there, which was crazy. Like standing in line behind Stone Cold Steve Austin, and just
Right,
sitting.
right.
The Rock is sitting there eating and talking about going to the gym, and all these guys. And then we would get our shorts and t-shirts on and go out to the ring, and they'd let us get in the ring actually and roll around a little bit. And then like sometimes Arn would be there holding a clinic with certain guys, and he would just we just learn from people. And then every once in a while somebody was I remember one time Nathan Jones was working with Undertaker.
Yep.
This was probably like my 10th time being there doing this. I did this a lot over the course of the next 5 years. I remember Nathan Jones one time, Arn Anderson said, "Hey man, do you mind taking some bumps for this kid?" And of course, what do you need? And so Nathan grabbed me, he put me in the ring, and he's just like, "I'm just going to throw you around a little bit. I'll show you some stuff." And they were looking for stuff that he could do to other people because he was relatively new to the business. He was green. He goes, "What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab you by your ears and I'm going to throw you by your head." And so he grabbed me by my ears and I just grabbed onto his wrists and, he bealed me from one corner. And I remember my ass hit the turnbuckle in the other corner. My legs like hit the ropes and stuff. It was crazy. And he lifted me like it was nothing. So I just kept doing stuff like that. And slowly but surely. And I remember I would every 3 months or so, I would call the office or I would send a new tape and just, "Hey, what do I need to do?" And Dr. Tom one time told me, he's like, "Ken, I don't know. I don't know what you need to do. Just keep working on it. If we could bottle it and sell it, we would. I promise you. But
Right.
we don't know what we're looking for. We'll know when we see it though. So you just got to keep hustling." And so that was what I did. There was a couple times, actually, right before I got signed, I was sort of thinking I might need to hang this up and find a real job. Like being broke
The
was
hot dogs and
really,
hand the hot dogs and handshakes just didn't pay the bills, is what you're
yeah.
saying?
I loved it, but I was like, maybe this just isn't going to happen. So
Right. Right. So, well, I mean, kudos to you for keeping with it. I think there's a lot to be said just in life in general by just not giving up and, kind of just preaching, you believed so much in yourself, and you kept sending the tapes and kept sending the tapes, and thank God you did, because you created a lot of memories for a lot of people out there, man.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's the biggest thing. If there's any mark left by Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Anderson, it's the memories that are there, and then you now continue to get to share your experience. You're the trainer now. You're the guy people call at 1, 2 a.m. Looking
Yep.
to train. So, dude, it comes full circle, man, and you're training those armed security guards for a nuclear plant. That's just fucking awesome, dude. I mean, that's incredible for you. And so, with that being said, when you were on that 5-year run, were you developing this Mr. Kennedy character, or did that just come when they found that when they bottled it and sold it?
Yeah, it was just when I became Mr. Kennedy, all I really changed was my name and the fact that I was doing my own introduction. Honestly, everything else was what I had worked on, that character development over the years, just figuring out who I was as a character. And it just happened to be that was me with the volume turned way up. Like I heard Stone Cold and a couple other people say, the best characters are extensions of your own personality. And I believe that's true. Unless there are people who are like really, really good actors who can like completely assume the identity of somebody else.
Right.
But most people, I think, the best characters that you see on TV are really like that's the way that guy would act if he was in a situation like that.
Right. Right. Like Stone Cold just being, that tough SOB redneck. That's how he carries himself. When the cameras aren't rolling, but
Yep.
but we know what we see on TV is legit what we're getting in real life too.
Oh yeah.
And for you too, man. I mean, you're a great time, and you're such a great time on television too, dude. It's yeah, you don't sell that short. You are you just times 10.
So
Yeah.
was the entrance then? Was it like something like was always a plan, or is it something like you kind of pitched for yourself, or?
No, I didn't pitch it. It was an accident. It was so I was at OVW. I was at OVW for about 6 months. So for those that don't know, like OVW was the NXT basically for the WWE when I was coming up. So you would get signed, and you would get signed by WWE, and then they would send you to OVW for. Some people were there for a month. Some people were there for several years, just trying to figure out, what character you were going to be. And I was there for about 5 or 6 months under Cornette. Jim Cornette was running the show, and then he got fired, and Paul Heyman came in, and Paul just pulled me aside the day that he got there, and he was like, I am a huge fan of yours. I am going to do so much stuff with you that they're going to have to, that you'll be out of here. You're the next guy out of here.
So
And
the
I was
original
like,
Paul Heyman guy.
yeah. I was
Put it on a
definitely a
shirt.
Paul Heyman guy. Definitely. And I just couldn't believe my ears. I couldn't believe he was saying this to me. Mainly because like when he would come down every 2 months or so and do promo class. And the thing is like, Paul's coming tomorrow. Make sure you have an opponent. You're going to go in and give a 1 or 2 minute promo. So you just come up with, any opponent. You pick an opponent. I think I picked Funaki for my first opponent, right? And I went in, and Paul, I would sit down, and then you'd cut the promo, and then Paul would critique it. You'd go home, you'd rework it that night and come back, cut it again. And, he always had like really, really great feedback for me. And then I would come back the next day and I would cut it, and I'd finish my last line, and he would go, "Great, thanks. Thank you." And like, anything? You guys got any feedback for me or anything? Nope, loved it. Thank you. And I would walk up, go, "This fucking guy hates me." Like, and because usually you got something for somebody, like there's some sort of, but anyway, fast forward, and he told me that. And then that night, OVW was like a 1 hour program. And out of that 1 hour, I took up probably 35 minutes between promos and backstage promos and a match. And I think it was the third week that he was there. He told me to go out and cut the ring announcer off, cut him out, and then you do your own big introduction and make it big. And so I just went out there and I had something in mind of what I was going to say. And in the moment, so rewind, I used to announce basketball games when I was in high school, and I would hit the last name twice for our teammates, and it was super over with our fans, and even like some of the parents for the opposing teams would come over and go like, hey, you guys suck, but I really like your announcing. That's pretty cool. Keep doing that, And so in that moment, I was just like, I just remembered that, and I hit my last name the second time, and I went through the curtain, and everybody was like, dude, you've got to keep doing that, and it was just like, for us, the boys are like the most cynical. We've seen everything, and you sort of know when you see something that's going to work, and getting the approval from the boys is always like the biggest, okay, I'm on to something here. I just got to stick with this. And so I just started doing that. And 5 weeks later, I was on TV. I was debuting. It was just kind of crazy. I didn't change anything really. I mean, I like to think that I got better as time wore on. And of course, you get on the road with like the best wrestlers in the entire world, and you're wrestling 5 nights a week. You get better. But I really didn't change much other than saying my last name twice.
Yeah, the confidence was growing for sure. I could feel it. Like I was always like, dude, I love this, because I say on the show all the time, like my favorite wrestlers, you being one of the top guys, I've always liked. I like the dudes that are cocky as shit. And I felt like when you said that, the second part of that name, it was just like, yeah, Kennedy.
So much conviction in it, and you just knew that this guy meant business.
Let me remind you who I am, Kennedy.
Yeah.
And then I think that kind of went like global with anybody, because I'm pretty sure I was probably at bars going, Kennedy. I'm pretty sure.
We know. I know you were. I know you were. I mean, that was like we play softball and you'd be Kennedy. I mean, yeah, dude, it was so fucking awesome, man. Well, that's incredible. That's just an incredible journey. That OVW, it doesn't get it gets a lot of credit for kind of what it was back in the day, but it produced so much talent, didn't it?
Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar, Shelton Benjamin, just so many. Charlie Haas. It was just like a revolving door. It really was. Bobby Lashley, the Boogeyman. Like Boogeyman was there when I remember him debuting that character. So it was, and honestly, when Paul was there, I felt like Paul did such a good job of elevating people, finding their strengths and elevating that, and hiding their weaknesses, that it was like the pace picked up when he was there. It was like every week there was a new talent debuting. And then a lot of times, like he would do so much with the talent, and they would get noticed, and then they'd get up to the road, and like the writers at WWE just wouldn't know what to do with those people. So it's not necessarily that they were able to stick around for a long time, but like, that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Right. You've got to, but you got to amplify yourself too, right? You kind of have to make yourself work. They can stick you with a shit gimmick, but I mean, look at Stardust. Cody Rhodes was able to get Stardust over, but he hated the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Like
and really hated it, right?
Right. And so, it's just you're gonna get out as much, and the proof is in your pudding. You're gonna get out as much as you put in, and so if you go 110% like you did, you're destined for great things. Which great things for you, Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that like it was yesterday. You want to kind of talk about how you went from from debuting to your trajectory in there? I mean, how fast did it feel for you?
Boy, that wasn't fast at all because like I had the rocket ship on me right out of the gates.
Right.
Like they were putting me with everybody: Rey Mysterio, Booker, Chris Benoit, Eddie, um, all these guys, and they were giving me wins too on TV, which is important for the character on TV. But then I got hurt, I got injured. Like
Yeah.
10 months into my first run, I got injured. I tore my lat, and I ended up needing, I think it was 10 months I was on the shelf for it. So then I came back and I just, I didn't have that. Sometimes when people go away, the writing team is like, all right, we're gonna do this, or they're always cooking something up, and they get like this big, huge return. I didn't. I just next week Kennedy's coming back, and that was it. And it was like I don't even remember who I came back against, but it was just like it was like starting over. And actually, it was almost as though that rocket ship was just gone completely. So I was just sort of existing, and then I remember just existing, and then one day Mark Henry broke his kneecap. He was supposed to wrestle Batista at the Great American Bash, and he broke his kneecap on a Saturday night's main event 3 weeks before the pay-per-view. And he's supposed to go against, returning Batista. Batista was just coming off of a tricep injury, I believe. And it was Mark Henry that had put him out of action, so he was, get his revenge on Mark Henry. And so Mark Henry breaks his kneecap, and Vince came up to me at TV and he said, "Are you ready? Do you know what you're doing at the Great American Bash?" And I said, "No." He said, "You're wrestling Batista." And I went, "Cool." He's like, "You ready for that?" I said, "Fuck yeah." And he said, "All right, we've only got 2 weeks or whatever, 3 weeks to build this up. We're going to do as best we can, and then you'll wrestle Batista at the Great American Bash." So I didn't. That's the most that I knew about it. I didn't know how the match was going to go, and sort of in the back of my head, I was like, "He's probably going to kill me. He's probably just going to squash me, and that'll, but we'll see." So I gave it my all with what we were given, and on the day, I remember asking Arn, like, "So what kind of deal is this?" And he was like, "This is going to be a competitive match." So, and then at the end, Batista is supposed to lose his cool, and he won't relinquish the hold in the corner. He's stomping me in the corner and beating me up, and he's going to get counted out or whatever. So you're going to win by DQ. And I remember just piecing it together, and I asked Arn, I was like, "Do you think I could get some color? Bleed a little bit?" And he was like, let me check. So he checked with the boss. The boss said, "No way," because earlier in the show, the Undertaker was facing the Great Khali in a Punjabi prison match. It was like a big bamboo. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like a big cage match.
It was like a double bamboo cage or something like that.
Yeah. I think it was Pat Patterson's idea, and it was like one of the few Pat Patterson ideas that kind of failed. But they told me no, and so okay, whatever. And I go out there, and we're wrestling, and I rolled out to the floor, and Batista bounced my head off the steps, and I missed like covering or blocking it a little bit, and I just bang, I hit my head on the edge of the steps, and I felt, I'm bleeding. And so I remember rolling into the ring, and Batista punched me, and he was like, "Whoa, bro, are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then I could feel it start coming, and like I had a pretty good mask going. So that was a total accident, right? But it turns out to be like one of the best things that ever happened to me. So we had a pretty solid match, I want to say. And then at the end, when he loses his shit, he posted me, and I just like I was already going for the post, supposed to hit it like here, and for whatever reason he threw me, just gave me a little bit too much, and I could not. I was going so hard that I couldn't move, and I just hit that post head on, and my head just opened up and just started gushing blood. And then so right away he was like, "Oh my God," he's already like feeling bad about the thing earlier. He's like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And then he was supposed to post me 3 times and then give me 3 spine busters and then give me a power bomb. And he was like, "Let's just go home." And I went, "No, let's do it. Let's keep going. I'm good." And so he posted me again, gave me a spine buster. He's like, "Are you sure?" And I just kept, "Yep, let's do it. Let's do it." Spine buster, and then kind of a shitty power bomb. I didn't do a good job of sitting up all the way. But anyway, I'm just covered head to toe in blood, and I walk back through the curtain, and everybody is just like, "Are you okay?" And I went, "Yeah, I'm good. Is that all right?" And it was like Vince was like, "Yes." It
Oh,
was
that's
good,
awesome.
I remember the
Yeah,
blood
and
going in, like, because you had that dyed hair and everything. I remember that blood just covered and everything.
yeah,
It's like he's a redhead now.
yeah, right.
It was crazy.
And from that point on, and that was just like couple weeks later, Undertaker approached me and said, "Hey, I saw what you did with Batista at the Great American Bash. I'd like to. I'm gonna talk to the boss and see if we can't do some business." And 2 weeks later, "Hey man, we're going into a program with each other. We're gonna have 3 pay-per-views out of it. I think he said we're gonna get 2, maybe 3 pay-per-views out of it. We ended up getting 3. So yeah,
What was that?
So,
What was that like? So you wrestled with all these guys. Like, there's got to be 1 or 2 that pop off your head right away. Like, dude, I'm working with him. It's going to be amazing.
so at the time I'm trying to. I had so much confidence at the time when I first got on the road that I felt like I belong here. I belong with these guys. I'm where I need to be. I'm where I should be. I never for 1 minute thought like I can't believe this until I worked with Taker on a house show in Oklahoma City. That was the first time I ever worked with him. And in the back during the day, he said, "Hey, we're just going to call it in the ring. We're not going to talk back here. We're not going to talk about it. Just listen to me." Which you got to understand in the wrestling world that is so freeing, so liberating to not have to worry about like memorization and stuff. I knew I'm working with one of the best ever. He's like, all I have to do is listen to him. He's going to call stuff for us. I just got to do it well. So I remember standing in the ring and the lights went out and I heard that gong for the first time. And I got goosebumps all over my body. And I was like, okay, how the fuck did I get here? How is this possible? That was the first time that it like truly hit me. And moving forward, because I worked with him and Kane and Batista on and off for the better part of a year, the next year. And Taker's got the longest entrance in the business, right? Like that whole thing, even on house shows, he takes his time getting to the ring and everything. There was never, ever, ever a moment that I became like, okay, come on, let's speed this up. It was like I enjoyed it and took it in every single time it happened.
That's amazing, man.
how did that feel? I know you said you got the goosebumps, but you just mentioned earlier that you were watching Kane and Undertaker in those programs when your buddy was kind of forcing you to watch professional wrestling. I mean,
Yeah.
did you think about that time where you were in that that you're sitting on that couch with your buddy, just going, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
My
Honestly, it doesn't make sense to me. I was like fat. It was like my life flashed before my eyes, and just everything that had happened up until the point where I started watching wrestling just didn't seem to add up to that.
Right.
Like, it was just so strange. My life trajectory before I started watching wrestling was just so completely different after it. It really changed my life.
Well, that's just amazing, man. That's I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you were able to experience what I think millions of people, billions probably. Wrestling's a global sport that few only get to feel, dude, and that's awesome. That's great. Could have happened to a better guy. I'll tell you that.
Drew Shipley says, Ken, take on the superstar versus professional wrestler terms. What's your take on the superstar or the professional wrestler versus the professional wrestling terms?
I'm not a big stickler on words, really. Like I used to be, but I think it's all communication, right? Like, so when I was there, Vince, there were like lists of words that we weren't allowed to say. We weren't. I still have a hard time, I guess, when somebody calls something a belt, when they call it a belt or a strap. I kind of like cringe a little bit just because Vince pounded it into our heads like it's a championship or a title. A belt is something that holds up your pants.
Yeah. What about hospital versus local medical facility?
Is that a thing too?
I guess that's kind of what, like, they're like, you can't say it's a hospital because people will call the hospital. I mean, you know how crazy wrestling fans are. We've got 3 hospitals here. I know that happens.
Yeah, and there was other words that just I'm trying to think of. You weren't allowed to say house show; it had to be live event. There were just certain words, and then they would he would add to them every week. Don't say that anymore either. I don't like that word. So, but superstar, professional wrestler, I think we're both, and
interchangeable, I think.
Yeah.
Because as this you were in that era where in 19 let's just say 1997 1999 through 1999 they're professional wrestlers, but then when you were on the scene, you guys were superstars because you were bigger than live.
Right.
And still are. It's I don't know, to me it's interchangeable.
It still does. I get it. Human psychology, right? Like human psychology works that way where if you say that something is $9.99, you're more likely to get a sale than if you say $10, right? That's just right. So calling something a more higher sounding name or whatever, I get that works actually sometimes. Yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
So I was going to go just like kind of like the next subject. So, some things went down in WWE. We don't need to go on to that. But then you reinvent yourself in TNA, Mr. Anderson, right? What was that like going to this locker room compared to WWE? Because I tuned into TNA. I watch it all. So like I loved it. It was good for me to see you coming in there. So yeah, take us to that.
For me, TNA versus WWE at the time, Ken, when you were there, TNA felt more real to me than WWE.
So it's interesting you say that because it was just recently, and I'm talking like within the last few weeks, that this sort of dawned on me that the stuff that I enjoyed about pro wrestling was like the realism, the grittiness, the ECW, the fights, sometimes it was adult humor, but not for the sake of being adult. It was just like, I don't know, it just felt grittier and raw. And when I got there, it was like the start of the PG era. I remember Vince in my first meeting with him saying, we can't use any swear words. You can't say damn. And that the whole time that I was there, I'll watch some of my promos back and I feel like there's something missing. And it's that element of like realism. I wasn't able to turn my actual volume up. I always had to edit myself and I feel like I was always edited. That's just the way that it was. It's not a complaint against the company or anything like that. That's just the way the business was at the time. So then when I got over to TNA, they were like, you can kind of say whatever you want. So I mean, within reason, right? And actually, along the way, I started using the asshole thing. I started calling my fans assholes, and that was a big sort of. They had a sit down with the people at Spike TV, and I remember I wasn't in the meeting, but somebody, I think it was Bubba Ray, told me that they were like, "Well, we really don't care, and you guys can actually say fuck after the 10 o'clock hour. We'll just bleep it out." You know.
Could you imagine yourself in the Attitude Era though?
Oh,
Then you would have been, you know.
That's where when I started doing the asshole thing in TNA, had I been able to do that at WWE, I think it would have been a lot different.
I think your run in TNA, at least for me personally, was so much more fun because you got to be so authentic and so real. Kind of what you kind of spoke to, right? You know, where you grew up, you watching that 1998, you know, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and that's you just to me, you know, with your whole Aces and Eights run and everything like that, it was like, dude, this is Mr. Anderson. Like this is the guy. Like this is the guy. I wanted to wear fucking leather.
No, I never in a million years thought that I would be wearing leather. That I'd be playing that I was in a biker gang.
I tease some of my buddies that wear that shit all the time. I'm like, it's Halloween season. You guys are all got your biker shit on.
Yeah.
That was a pretty cool gimmick for sure. Did you enjoy that?
I loved it. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, and like the cool thing is we were on TV, but we didn't necessarily have to always wrestle.
Right.
Sure.
No, the storytelling to me has always been the most important stuff. I mean, I like wrestling. I love wrestling, but like, I love storytelling.
Yeah,
Why
do I want to see you get your ass kicked? Why?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like,
Give me a reason.
What's the point of having these I guess 5-star flippy matches? You know, like make me hate you, and you did a damn good job of doing that. But then I'm just like, dude, I'm an asshole too. So it's like, dude, I kind of like this guy. you know, things. But
so Aces and Eights, you know, for me is, you know, when I was 98, you're talking about 98 when I was fucking 18 years old. Like I wanted to see what was next with the NWO, right? Yeah. So you guys brought that back for me. It's just like, oh man, what the hell's next? Who's under the mask? Whatever. It's like every freaking week. You never would have guessed it would have been Devon. You never, you know, Mr. Anderson. You never knew it was going to be Bully Ray. Being the
AJ.
AJ
Styles at one point.
Dude, you just didn't know. It's just like, what the hell? You know, what the hell's going on here? And that's tough to do, I think, to now, like, right? Like, I think it's tough to do now. I think Hunter's doing a pretty good job of trying to get to that point. Maybe we'll see what's next with Paul Heyman and everything. But you guys back then did a good job. But so that leads to my next question. It was like between Mr. Anderson and Mr. Kennedy, which version for you, you know, was who you are? How do you feel about that?
Definitely Mr. Anderson. But you know, Kennedy had the bigger platform. So I wish I was able to like flip-flop those, but yeah, I had a ton of fun at DNA. And you know, they used to, like, early on, both Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff said, "Hey, I understand that you were sort of frustrated over at WWE. We're going to give you, we believe in you. We're going to give you a script, and you may look at that script and go, I wouldn't say any of that. We don't really care as long as, you know, it's just going to be like bullet points. This is essentially where we need to go. As long as you get there, we're fine with it."
Right.
That was just super freeing. And not only was I able to get my own creative juices flowing, which that's important too. I think, you know, going back to my WWE thing, at some point I felt like I was punching the clock. Like I would show up, they would hand me a script, I would memorize whatever was on the script. I would talk to my producer. My producer would say, do this, 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 and I would go out there and execute it. There wasn't really a whole lot of input. Whereas at TNA, it was like, okay, I have more input into what we're going to do during the matches. And I definitely had more input into what I was going to say. And that just like, you know, when you're having fun doing this job, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, I mean, TNA to me, dude, it was actually you see, I'm a firm believer in this right now. What you see on your Monday nights and your Friday nights, there's a lot of TNA influence from where you came from because these promos are starting to feel like those backstage promos of the yesteryear of TNA. Do you remember
Well,
like
that's
that camera kind of coming around the corner,
yeah.
kind of catching that dude? That was hook, line, and sinker for me.
They're I think that they're evolving, and it's because Hunter is open-minded. He's way more open-minded, and Paul Heyman is still. I'm sure. I don't know this 100%, but I'm sure that Paul still has a huge hand in creative,
Right.
Oh,
and he's got just fantastic ideas. Paul Heyman is more up to date with pop culture than any of us. Like he knows, he always has his finger on the pulse of what's cool, what's going to be cool like a month from now, 2 months from now. It's insane.
yeah, we're very thankful to have him. I would 100% agree with that. I've met him a couple times with my son. I think he was like 12 at the time, a couple of years ago. So we were getting autographs, and he just walked up to my son. He said, "I will sign an autograph for you," but he said, "You see that there's a soldier there that was just coming back from something," and he's just like, "You go over and tell him thank you for your service. I got you." And I thought that was really cool. I was like, "Hey, man, that just shows you respect in so many different ways." He went and did it. Paul was like, "Thank you for doing that." That's pretty classy in my opinion. I was just like, "Man, that's fucking awesome." So now that wrestling career was great and everything. We want to know what Ken Anderson is doing right. Mr. Stud Muffin is doing right now.
I use that when I go to. I don't really go to Starbucks anymore, but like when I used to go to Starbucks, say, "What's your name?" And I tell them that, and it's just always fun to be standing there, and then the person reads out like "Stud Muffin." What am I doing now? I'm training. I'm teaching people how to fall down. I'm still training. I got an academy in the Twin Cities, and I'm just, that 5 or 6 years that it took me to get to the WWE, the trial and error, and making connections here and there. I always wanted to figure out a way that I could cut some of those corners for some other people. Like I've had a hell of a career. At the end of it, if it ends tomorrow, like I had a pretty good run. I've had a pretty good time, and I want to share that with as many people as possible. And as long as people are willing to put in the time and the effort, I am willing to give it to them. And so we train at the academy Monday through Thursday, 52 weeks a year, pretty much. I mean, we do take off some time here and there, but 52 weeks a year for the most part. At least we're open, and we run classes from beginners. We take people from and we take people from all walks of life. I don't have a tryout per se where I make people make sure that they can do certain things. I feel like everybody who wants to contribute to the business, there's something that you can do. If you love the business of professional wrestling and you want to be a part of it, there's something that you can do to contribute, whether it be reffing, managing, writing, promoting. There's just so much stuff that you can do. So we train a lot of people. Right now we have about 60 students. And not everybody comes every week, but it's sort of a revolving door. We've got some people that come 4 nights a week. We've got, Darius Martin, who was our very first graduate, who's on AEW on a weekly basis, still comes to practice, at least twice a week. Sometimes he's there 3 times a week. And he comes when class is going on, and then he comes when it's just him. It's just sort of open gym in the ring by himself. So, and we've had some successes, whether it be, we've had a ton of successes on the independent scene. Whenever you see a poster around the Twin Cities area, there's usually, like, if there's 10 guys on that poster, 9 of them came from the academy. And then we've had a couple people go to the WWE, obviously.
Name the big one.
The big one, Tiffany Stratton.
Boom.
She's probably the big one right now.
Hey,
She's done okay for herself.
I told you I'd say hi to her a couple weeks ago, and I did. She was at the so me, I could tell. Everyone knows I'll go to the airport, and there's guys I know they're getting off that plane. Road Dog knows me, and Tiffy comes off, and I said, hey, she was super nice. I said, hey, I'm friends with Ken, and she's like, oh, tell him hello. I hope he's doing well. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure you talk to her all the time, anyways. But
I know.
super talented.
Yep.
She has the look. We all know that, but my goat is right there, Charlotte, obviously. But them two, I think she, there's a good one to learn off of, and she learned off of you. But yeah, what a stud in that ring. I could tell you that right now. And her mic skills are getting better and better every week, I think.
Yeah, I have her very first promo somewhere.
Oh,
and I have to ask her permission to someday share that with the world. It's shocking because it was her first time being in front of having a wrestling microphone in her face, and
it might be something Hunter wants someday.
Maybe, I would assume, because it's night and day.
Yeah,
from what you see,
and this because you did all this.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like with her, she was a ridiculously, obviously you can tell by just looking at her, she's a ridiculously gifted athlete, right? And she was into powerlifting, gymnastics, and stuff like that. So I would show her how to do something, or just tell her how to do something. She would say, "You mean like this?" And she would do it almost perfectly every time. So it was just fine tuning the small details, which turns out to be like the fundamentals are really, really important. And the little fine details that surround those fundamentals are super important. So it was just sort of fine tuning that stuff. But when she was training at the academy, she was not like charismatic in the sense that like what you see on TV today. Nothing like that. She just would get in the ring and execute and do the stuff because she was more focused on figuring out the mechanics of it, the physicality. But once she went to NXT and spent, when you get signed to NXT, that's your job now. You get to live, breathe, sleep, eat wrestling. And she obviously did.
And the coolest thing about that, man, is I know how that, when you see her success, like and knowing you, being around you a few times up at David Heroes and the Squared Circle, we've got to be next to each other and everything. Just being around you and your wife a few times now, that I can tell that I could tell the pride you have knowing that you helped her out a lot too. And it's, you're not going to take all the glory or nothing, obviously, because that's not you, but I know in your heart, you're like, hey, that's my girl.
I'm more just happy for her. Like I said earlier, I want as many people to experience the stuff that I was able to experience. So, at the end of the day, I believe that had it not been me who gave her first training experience, somebody else would have trained her. She'd probably still be where she's at.
That's say.
She's, she did the work.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, she put the work in for sure. But yeah, we're gonna keep them up all night, obviously. But we want to remind everybody, like September 6th, Ken's gonna come down. Get that pencil real dark in there on that calendar. All right, you'll know why here in a little bit when we get done. But Jake, with you want to say anything before we let go?
No, Ken, I truly appreciate everything you've done for the business, continue to do for the business. And I appreciate you coming on here. You didn't have to do it. I owe you a pork package. So
yeah, no shit.
I texted you, and you got to just text me back.
I got you. Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No,
I didn't mean
you're
to fade
busy.
you like that.
Hey, yeah, you're a busy
Kinda like
guy,
good
man.
noises,
You're living the gimmick, right? You're a busy guy, but I just truly appreciate everything you've done, and to come on to two dopes that just like to talk professional wrestling, man, dude, it's an honor. It's an honor.
I'm glad that I got to meet you guys. Honestly, like I feel like we're gonna be friends for a long time. Honestly, like you guys are great.
Yeah, man, I can't. We
I
tell your
appreciate
wife,
that.
tell Anastasia, thank you for
Yes.
everything. Thank you for Ozzy. Thank you for.
Boy, thanks for the licorice.
Do you hear us?
No, she got her headphones in. She's watching something on.
Hopefully she comes down with you September. Jean's coming, obviously, too. So we'll all be together again. I think I'm gonna talk Jean's wife to coming in, and I'm gonna introduce you to my family and my son and everybody. Drinks and dinner on me. I'll feed you guys well. Believe that. Jake will have that pork package too before anything. But we'll talk more before that, bro. We really appreciate you, dude. Like, it's a huge honor for you to come on the show out of Des Moines, Iowa. Not a big city, but there's a lot of wrestling fans here, so this means a lot.
Hell yeah.
So cheers, brother. We'll
Appreciate you guys.
Can we get a Kennedy before you leave?
Oh, I'm gonna get evicted if I Kennedy.
Yes. Thanks, Ken. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thanks.
See you, Stud Muffin.
See ya.
See you, buddy. Thank you, sir.
Awesome.